Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Spin from the Real. My name is Chris Anthony Lopez, not Christian Anthony Lopez, just Chris, Chris. And joining me per usual is the CEO of What Real Entertainment, Matt Thomas, and down at the bottom is Alimony without the divorce, Salison Salamoni. What's going on, party people?
I haven't heard that one in a hot minute.
You had to do your Jesse Swift impression, huh?
Yo, I'm just Christian's a ways away from me, but I forget I have this
until you wake up in the middle of the night and see it staring at you.
Because I don't leave it here, you know. Like I don't.
Where do you put him?
Where do you put Christian's face?
So it's against the wall. Like I have it on the floor against the wall.
So Christian faces the wall, and then Christian you had him in the corner.
Christian
a minute
looks
ago.
at me, like it's looking at me like inward. It's hard to explain. Like it's like this. Just imagine on the floor off to the side. Oh, what's going on, Brennan?
What up, Brennan?
What'd he say, Chris? What's he saying, Chris?
Beans.
Beans.
Beans, what the fuck? God, I forget like on
guys,
I promise we have a nice wheel today. There's a pay-per-view happened over the weekend, a bunch of announcements happened in regards to factions. But before we get there and before we plug the channel, I was deleting a bunch of pictures. I was at work a couple days ago. And like I had some time to kill, so I was just going through deleting everything, and I found, like, I think it was the last Shmo Me the Real I did, and it was the hardest I'd laughed probably ever doing one of those shows, and it was when, like, I forget who it was. I think it was Jeff or you, Matt, that was just spamming all the videos that we had in our archive.
It was a combination of me and Jeff. It was a combination.
Or Shug too. Like I was losing my mind because I was out on the couch when that show happened. It was insane. No, don't do that. Don't do that. That's just. I don't want James Franco winking at me like that. But I loved it so much. And I also found the video of the first time Evan Bushkar, shout out to him, shared with us something on Shmo Me the Real, which was also very creamy Italian dressing. Creamy.
Beans
creamy
Italian.
I like, what was that?
Mitsubishi materials.
That's
Wait, Chris.
Yeah. Sugar. Dude, there's so many
honey.
Yeah. Honey. Like there's so many stupid ones. I hate them so much.
But Chris,
and thank you so much, Brennan, for putting that into my brain for the rest of the show.
But Chris, you want to know what my favorite of all these videos is?
Oh God, which one is it?
Exactly. Enjoy the time before.
Some folks don't know me for much, but I feel like if folks are gonna remember me for anything I did over the course of my time in California, it's that. It's probably that.
It's that, or
yeah. Shout out to Chandru Dandapani
because of tonight.
Yeah, shout out to Chandru Dandapani, who got to compete over the weekend in the pay-per-view. That was a great time. Shout out to Jeremy Miller in the chat. I see you, Jeremy. What's good?
What's up, Jeremy?
But let's do some plug skis, Matt. I know we got some fun stuff that went up on the channel today.
You keep talking for a minute before we get to that, because it's got to be uploaded. Because I just got home. Remember?
Sure. But make sure y'all go ahead and like the video, subscribe if you already are not subscribed to What Real Entertainment. Leave a comment if you're watching after the fact. If you're in the live chat, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us, and let us know your 2 cents on all of our wheel spins today. The wheel, I'm very much looking forward to talking about the start of season 9. And I know last few days have been pretty weird for a multitude of different reasons. People already finding a way to, pick apart this little movie trivia thing we got going on here. But I'm very eager to chat about it. Chris, keep talking. That is easy. Shug, you know, the last time Shug was in our chat, and I went at his dome piece. He called me a couple days later. Shug called me a couple days after that, and we were just talking. He's like, "Damn, bro, you didn't have to do me like that." And for those who don't know, I had to go at Shug's forehead. You know, like I had to go right for the forehead. Like I'm not playing around.
Look, when you got a 5 head like me,
just like the cops did on Ashtray last night.
It's easy.
Oh,
it's easy target. When you got a 5 head,
Shug doesn't even have a 5 head. I just had to go right for his dome piece. Like I had to show him what's up. Like he talked shit in the chat. Do you have a 5 head?
That's a 5 head.
You're covering up your. I thought it starts above the eyebrow.
Well, yeah, and like my thumb's right here. I got a 5.
If anything, it's like a 4. It's like a 4.5. If anything.
4
I mean, technically I do. Technically I don't, because my widow's peaks.
It pokes out enough. It pokes out enough.
My platform 4 3/4 forehead.
Right. The 4.
Actually, this is what I knew Frank was the one. Is when we would start taking pictures together, he would always put his head just a little bit more forward than mine, so I wouldn't have the bigger head. Because I have a ginormous noggin.
See, we all have a bunch of big heads. I think that's why Spin from the Real so charming. Shug in the chat. I mean, you want me to go to your head?
For your head, I think.
Yo, I will. Shug, if you want to start acting up in the chat, we can start acting up. But no, we have a bunch of big ass heads on Spin from the Real. That's what makes it so charming.
Spin from the Real with the 3 co-hosts with giant fucking heads.
Yeah, the inverse of what Evan Bushkar did for us a couple weeks ago on the show.
Yes, exactly.
1000%.
We're the caricatures of Evan Bushkar's little head Evan drawing.
Right. And hold up, I don't know if y'all hear that. This just in. I think our plugs are ready. Matt, go ahead, hit me.
All right, so if you didn't watch last night, we had a special season finale for Euphoria After Dark with myself, Paige, and Jeff, joined by special guests Connor Breedlove, my brother who I love so much, and Amber and Maxwell from LGR and Ember Productions. So go check that out. Earlier today, my review for The Batman dropped, and that is on the channel currently. You can go check that out after this show, of course. Or if you want to go check it out in the middle and come back, that's on you. I'm not saying do that, though. And then tomorrow, my review for Winning Time, The Rise of the Lakers Dynasty drops. So be sure to check that out because, woo, I got to see a lot of that, and I have some thoughts. So, yeah.
You got to subscribe to the channel. Watch Real Entertainment. Get that bell. You get notified every time you go live. And when those videos are uploaded, so make sure you go ahead and do that as soon as you possibly can. But we're almost 9 minutes into the show. I think it's appropriate that we should start talking about season 9. But, yo, without further ado, let's just bring up that damn wheel. Let's see what we're working with this week.
Bring up that motherfucking wheel.
Oh, snap. So, for those, just in case you're listening to this and you can't see it, just going around the wheel one time, we have the Den roars again. We're going to talk about potentially the new faces or the same faces of the Den. Let's talk about storylines. Storylines
Chris's
are back.
Favorite slice.
Damn right. It's been a minute, hasn't it? Dungeon days. There's some new folks in the dungeon, and we may talk about them. And then that pay-per-view, the undercard.
Folks not in the dungeon anymore. Don't forget that.
And that coincides with the Den. The Wild Berries versus Video Dolph. And I have my thoughts on Video Dolph. Every time they said, I know this, I don't want to show my cards, but every time they said Drew and Dolph or whatever the hell during the pay-per-view, why not just call them Video Dolph? Real
that's what I was wondering.
Real missed opportunity. We have the Soaring Stars, the new look stars and the faces and names that they added over the weekend. The wild card, which, changes or may be a secret depending on the show. And this week, you already know, we have some fun stuff after we got the introduction of the wild card over this past weekend in season 9. Smets smashes the Chosen, the main event of this past pay-per-view, and the newfound swag, the new look swag, Those are our slices for this week on the
Drip,
show. All right. So, without further ado, let's give this a little spin ski. What are we talking about on the show to start us off this week? We have a bunch of fun topics, potentially some pay-per-view. We might not talk about the pay-per-view today, which is pretty.
We might not. It depends on what happens.
You're damn right.
Yes, we are.
We're getting right into it.
How what a quinky dink. We got the Wild Berries versus
And it's like dead on too.
Can I start this off by saying I had the absolute most fun getting introduced to the Wild Berries, because again, didn't watch when they were a thing. So getting to experience Josh Rakuga and Elliot Dewberry, and their energy was so much fun.
Yep.
Playing off Video Drew and Claudia Dolph was probably the most. I don't care what anyone says, I had the best freaking time watching them all play together, because it still ended up being a pretty good match. Like there was still a lot of bright questions.
Makuga pulled stuff out of his ass like he's prone to do. I know you're not completely used to Makuga. Maybe Chris and I, whenever we do a watch along next, fix that. But Makuga has always had a tendency to be an player, but somehow he always pulls out the fives out of nowhere, almost out of thin air.
He was guessing before Stacey Howard made it cool.
Right.
I'm telling
you.
He's
not lying. Like Chris is being 100% truthful. He was guessing before Stacey Howard made it cool. So I'm
telling you. But I would love to also take this time with this wheel slice to talk about just the opening presentation of the pay-per-view. And if we can,
we're gonna put Chris on a soapbox real quick.
Well, no. Like I was late to the party in regards to watching the pay-per-view. So I had some things and I had some perspectives and some point of views thrown my way first before watching the show. So I didn't know what to expect, but also had an idea of what to expect at the same time. And I have a bunch of notes. I was sharing them with the guys on screen a second ago, but this is all my notes from the pay-per-view because I don't play around. But the first thing that I mentioned was just the presentation in general, like the new camera angles, the entrances, the color scheme that they're rocking with this year.
I like the color scheme.
I did too.
I don't like it on the wheel, but I like the overall color scheme.
It's going to take me a second to get used to it. I'm not going to poo-poo it. I'm not going to act like it's the worst thing in the world to look at. But I'll
tell you what is the worst thing in the world to look at. Suge's forehead.
Damn, got him. Damn.
Just kidding, Suge, love you. You said nice things about my forehead. I'm so sorry.
Damn, get him.
Yikes.
But I just thought it was a bit much at first. Granted, I also found myself trying to get used to them being in the studio full time again, and how it feels to be not at a bar, trying to play some movie trivia. So
not on digital, trying to
and not on digital.
Yeah,
but the overall presentation, I know some folks have their 2 cents on how it looks. I wrote down at one point, I hope this doesn't come off as a diss, but I thought it was funny. I said the set looks like Double Dare 2099. Because that was something I thought of.
You're not wrong, but I take that as a compliment because I thought love Double Dare.
It grew on me over the course of the show.
I mean, I will say this. I liked the feel of it. I like that teams can be on the same side now, and there's just a divider there now.
I did too. Yeah. I like that a lot. I like that. I love that it's standing and not sitting. I like that there's space to move around, and I think the Wild Berries really did a good job of doing that. Now, would I like it if someone was standing behind me while I'm answering a question, like Elliot Dewberry was? But I think given the situation, it works out really well because of who was on screen. And I think I don't know if there's another match that could have been that much, could have been that fun to start something off. I think they did a really good job using that as the starting point for launching season 9, because the Wild Berries were just the little quips, like during the first cut scene, or at one point in the beginning when Video Drew says, we're married. You're my husband. He's like, no, we're not.
The camaraderie was something that I missed dearly because that's something you couldn't
Mhm.
do over digital without there being a fuss or like there was a point to emphasize. There was a point that like, yo, don't talk during the questions, don't talk at all, and
Yeah.
but like whether you're talking shit or not, just don't speak. And this was very chummy. I actually wrote down some of my favorite quotes from this. There's 3 that I'll say. There's Josh Rakuga saying, "You are the ghost version of Meg Ryan" to Video Drew.
Yep.
I thought that was very funny. Elliot Dewberry says, like, I haven't seen this shit. It was in regards to a movie in the second round, which I do want to talk about that wild card slice.
That
that
card
was
slice
perfect.
awesome.
How
And,
great was that?
And Video Drew saying,
Makuga's reaction.
in regards to Claudia, like, I'll let Tom say it. A nice little Easter egg for maybe planting seeds going forward.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed this match. Like, I missed this. This is the Schmodown that I fell in love with. How long? 6 years ago? However long it's been. Like, I missed this presentation, and yeah, the colors. It took a second. It looked like Double Dare, but I was cool with that. Like, I thought it. At first, I was like, "Whoa!" Like, let's pump the brakes. But like what Allison said, this is a fun match to start us off with. Missed opportunity, not calling them Video Dolph. I still cannot
100%.
believe
I agree with you 100%.
that was like, I don't know what the plans are for the two of them as a team. If this is be their first and only match, they'll have more matches later. But Video Dolph, it's right there. It's right there, low hanging fruit. But even the cutscene was great.
Can we also talk about just how fantastic Video Drew did? Her with like she came out and just crushed it. Like, she's always been entertaining to watch in general, but like her trivia game, not that it was bad before, but I feel like she's completely stepped it up this season with how well she did in this first match, even with all the fantastic Video Drew character work with her video doll.
Yo, yeah,
that doll's been on our after show before. That doll is all. I'm with the Kuga.
I love that
Keep
doll.
that
so
doll
much.
away from me.
I love that doll so much.
You said video doll. Oh my god, did they say that and I just missed it?
I don't know. I think they did, but yeah,
video doll. That's incredible.
Pat, I love you, Pat. I love you, Pat. I see your comment.
Pat in the chat. I'm staring at the Power Morpher, and now I just want to talk about Power Rangers. Oh yeah, yo, we could talk about that's a different stream for a different day. But I want to spotlight some of these comments. Leo Logan in the chat saying Makuga didn't seem to miss a beat after his retirement.
If anything, he seemed better.
Right. And it definitely helped that especially with Jeremy Miller's comment, the whole Die Hard in the movie thing is cool. It did bug me a little bit how players spun the wheel. It looked stiff. It looked stiff at first, yeah.
That wheel just it was like a half spin, and then it's like, that's it. I'm like,
yeah, it was.
It's like, a new wheel though. It's got to get broken in. That's what it looks like.
That was something I also noticed too, Jeremy, when players spun the wheel. But something I did miss, and I don't know if like for legal reasons I have to take them off, but I miss seeing the faces and the characters on the wheel slices instead of just the names. We got you, Allison. A little blurry, but we got you.
Yeah.
But I thought the wheel slices were a little bit bland.
Bye, guys.
Yep. Okay. Bye, Allison. But like just the color slice with the name, it was just like.
See, that's what I was talking about. The color, just with it being the color, and then you couldn't even really see it because those colors are so light. Like, you couldn't even make out the words. I was like, hold up, wait, what? I'm like, wild card was a little bit easier because those are the pink slices, so you know that. But with every other slice being green, basically, it was the words were kind of lost in the slice.
Yeah, it took a minute. We got you, Allison. At least I think we got you.
Maybe.
But maybe.
I don't know.
No, I mean, we can see you clearly.
Okay.
But the wild card, another thing I was worried about was I thought that the people at the desk, which by the way, Mark and Andrew, bravo.
Phenomenal.
I was scared that like, oh, wild card, and the people at the desk would be like, oh, you got
Great.
80.
No,
like I
like how it's
the whole point of the wild card is other thing, like the whole point of the one is that it's literally just a random category that's never been. You can't study for it. There's nothing you can do about it. It's whatever it says goes.
Well,
And
it's a random category or spinners or opponents is the other two.
Yeah.
It's random categories or spinners or opponents. So the fact that we got a random category instead of spinners or opponents, I was so glad about.
Yeah.
And it was a good way to introduce it. Like it wasn't a typical Schmodown category. It was something super niche that
Not
I
hard
would
in a movie. I was like, okay, that is niche, but I love it. And then you hear the questions, like I was like, all right, no, I dig these questions. PJ just out here like, let me pop my collar a little bit.
I think the questions through the through both matches were written so well.
Oh yeah.
I thought everything was like, again, people want to poo-poo. I'm on whatever stream I'm on. I'm always hashtag team question writers, 100%, always and forever. Except for when Matt writes them and then makes me do a watch along with all the questions that he wrote.
I was not a writer at the point of that match.
Great callback. That's going to be a bit going.
Actually, that's a lie. I was a writer, but I was an FCL writer. I was an FCL writer, not MTS.
I love that. Like Matt had nothing to do with Swift and wouldn't have been.
My new favorite bit.
Yeah, it's
just like Alex. Just like Allison doesn't hate Mexicans, right?
You're such a dick.
That's another hell of a callback. Which, by the way, for those who don't know what that is, don't worry about it. Allison is not racist.
I swear to God, if I end up getting canceled because of this stream now with 7 people watching,
I'll vouch for Allison. I will release my statement about it if push comes to shove.
Release my statement.
I'll
do a Twitter statement for thank you.
Yeah, I'll back you up.
But no, I think I love the way that the questions are written because I was able to play. I honestly I want there to be hard questions. Yes, that I don't know, but I also don't know a lot of shit because I'm a dodo. But like the shit that I do know, I know a lot about a little bit, right? And so when I can answer those questions and then general questions that are not as deep cut, it's fun. I like being able to play along. I like being able to sit there and like race my husband to the right answer or, like know something that he doesn't and just shout it out. Like it's fun when you can do that. I think the way that these questions were written and how it was all done was absolutely perfect. I think it was balanced so well. I think the 5-point question that Video Drew and Claudia Dolph got was a really good 5-pointer, right? Because everyone knows the Halloween franchise, but in those 2 movies,
it was like nobody likes those 2, so you
right. By the way, but that's what it is.
Halloween 2007 is now on Netflix, so people go study.
Yeah, go study. But that was a really good question for a 5-pointer because of the fact that it was Halloween 2007. Like that was a really.
It was a casting question. Like, I mean, shit. Both of the 5s are casting questions. And that's something I also make sure to put in my notes that it seemed very like they simplified it. They dialed it back a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I
know it seemed like at times.
Right. Yeah. And a lot of folks were so keen, and understandably so, because we were trained for 2 years to listen, to watch, and believe in it, that it was sport. And it was the movie trivia, and you do the best that you possibly can. No characters, no gimmicks, no goofs, straight answering your questions correctly. Mm-hmm. Now we're reverting back to what the Schmodown used to be. And I know folks aren't a fan of that. I totally understand. But I thought that the presentation of or the execution of the questions, especially in the first round, it made sense. You want people to be able to play along to these things, and it felt refreshing. At least for my dodo ass, that I knew the questions to this as well. But also, another thing that they simplified was the rules. Mm-hmm. No more long ass winded explanations.
Oh,
1,
so
2,
good.
3, 4, done.
Perfect. Right. Little icons, so you don't just sit there. Yeah, no, I love.
You're not sitting there reading the screen like how we
loved it.
Did for God knows how many seasons.
I loved it so much. It's so good. It was perfect. It has it all right there. I also like, and I know some people are not a fan of it because I think it affects teams more than anything else, but the new 12-5-3 or 10-5-3, I'm sorry, with the 10 questions in the first round across the board.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Right.
The new question structure that it's
And
uniform
see, that's
now.
that's something I think actually helps us out as
point.
shows. It's going to be an adjustment at first because I'm not going to lie. Partway through that teams match, I'm like, when they once question, I'm like, hold on, isn't this?
It went a little long in the first round. It's like, wait a second.
I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they updated this. It's not 8 anymore. But
Mhm.
it's going to be an adjustment. But I think ultimately it's for the better. It allows
Yeah.
records to be broken more, but also
stat people are going to lose their shit.
But here's the other thing. At the same time, it's better overall because it's the same gameplay throughout all the leagues. It's not different gameplay,
Right.
and
And
that's
also,
the important thing.
you throw. I feel like you throw in 2 more questions, you have 2 more opportunities to not get a perfect first round, which is, I think, one of the things that they're trying to go with. When you have just 8 questions, it's still 8 can be 8 hard questions, and you still don't go perfect. But the opportunity is there more with 8 questions than it is with 10 because now you got to add in even more. So
And now I know that we're not the biggest analytical people in the world, at least in regards to Schmodown statistics.
Nope.
But I'm pretty sure the last couple seasons we've seen an unbelievable amount of perfect rounds across the board. And that's something that I also like. Again, people are going to love the sport aspect of it. All power to you. I tend to lean the other way, like how it's being presented now. But there being a perfect round every match took away from the mystique of a perfect round in general.
Mhm.
I remember a long time ago in
Perfect
galaxy
rounds were
far,
few
far
and far
away,
between.
right? Like folks were missing questions, and it's like, oh, these people are human, and it's not this incredibly competitive movie trivia thing. But I also see why people are going to miss it because that's all we had for 2 years, and we saw an unprecedented amount of matches, the most we'd ever seen in a 2-year span in the Schmodown, and by wide margin. So I get it, and I ain't mad at y'all for thinking, not necessarily you two on the screen, but I am mad at people for being upset at the changes going on. But I thought the first half of the show was well executed. I want to ask y'all a question though, because I know we got a little bit of time before we move on. How did y'all feel about the ring announcer, Christian and Ken? Their roles in this?
Okay, for the entrances, I liked it. For him coming in at the end, I could
just like
live with that.
a big giant step into the center with like the mark, and like that's probably that's the only complaint and I don't even think it's a complaint. I mean, I get it, but at the same time, I feel like you could cut away.
His theater kid came out because there was the overacting. He's like, and you're a winner. And there's a giant step in like a show choir move I used to do with the flow. And I'm like, no. I'm like, no, bro.
It was very awkward.
Just a simple turn. And your winners, no wild berries.
Yeah,
that would have been better. Not a giant whoa.
I think instead of just like, because it's only that's like, I feel like watching him step in, it just kind of takes away from the moment versus like maybe cutting away to where the entrances are to say who the winner is. I feel like you could still get that vibrato without having to like just walk into the center of what's going on and be like, oh, that's what, like, you know what I mean? It felt awkward. I don't know if there's like a cleaner way that they could do that, but that's probably the only issue. That is the only issue I think I had with it. If that's even an issue. Rue, what's up, buddy?
Rue.
It was weird,
right? And that's I put it once. Like I was like, because the match I thought was good, right? Like the first round was good. I liked the Stephen King for Video Dolph and the Die Hard in the movie stuff. I thought was rad. I did make sure to put down the craziness and difference between the 2 pointers for Drew and Elliot for T2 and the way we were. But at the same time, again, I guess I didn't know the way we were, but I'm like, oh, T2 in a heartbeat. But again, to each their own. It's
but then
subjective.
Again, Drew didn't know what, like she even said, like we had her on Shmo Me the Real, and she was like, I completely guessed that that's what the full title was. She was like, I was just there and I ended up getting it right. But meanwhile, yeah, like we're sitting there going, what do you, and I think that's where it comes back to like the subjectiveness. Like back on one of Janine's matches, her 5-pointer was a Lizzie McGuire movie, and I answered it no problem. But like there was
Right.
like a whole uproar
Right.
on like Facebook and Reddit. That was such a hard question. I'm like, it really wasn't.
It's like,
So
Lizzie McGuire movie is a
If
cinematic
you're
masterpiece.
a Lizzie McGuire
I mean, it
fan
is.
or a Disney,
Yeah.
It was my senior year of high school, and I loved every second of it.
Oh damn! So you were the demo for that. You were the
Duh.
I was
I was
was
the one
a-
that was rooting for this movie to come out and could not wait to go see it, and was so upset
Chris-
that we never got the sequel.
No.
Chris was a toddler, and I was a little like 7-8-year-old boy.
What year
Fucking
did the movie
hate
come
both
out?
of you right now. I don't even care. We're not going there.
Okay,
all done.
I'm not gonna say it, but
I'm
I will
looking it up.
I will add on to I make sure to write down after the final score that I said not a fan of Christian coming out after the winner. Or coming out for the
2003.
winner. 2003.
It was 2003. So Chris
Yes.
Chris was a wee lad. He
I
was
was
4.
5. Yeah, I was 5.
4 or
No, I was
5.
5.
What-
Turning
what-
6.
Cool.
Well, so you turned 6 in 2003.
Cool.
I
was
would be
May-
turning 6 August. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you were
Cool.
5. It was May 2nd, 2003.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
was 7.
There
Excuse
we
me,
go.
Excuse me.
This is great. I was
8.
in my I was starting.
eight.
I was
a 8-year-old boy and with a big crush on Hillary Duff, which has
Wait.
transferred with me as an adult.
May 2003. Okay, I was in my junior year of high school, getting
You
ready
can feel a
to
little
finish.
bit better about yourself.
Again,
Getting ready
still
to
the
finish my
demo.
junior year of high school.
Still the target demo. But
Fucking hate all of you right now. I'm so angry.
back on target. But I also wasn't a fan of
I love you, Joe. That's my
What's up,
boy
Joe?
Joe
It's been a
from
minute.
Xbox. I was a whole grown ass man.
I wasn't a fan of Christian coming out at the end either. It was just very weird.
It was so awkward.
I have to get used to it, but
I think
Maybe he won't do it after getting feedback.
I think it was just the way that he did it. Honestly,
Yeah.
I think it's like Ken walked in. I feel like Ken walked in a lot more naturally than Christian did. I feel like he
just the walk in rubs
was just
the
like
wrong way.
it looked like the straight leg like stomp in and like and you're a winner.
If there was a way for us to present this as if we already knew who won and then we could just cut to Christian already being there, fine.
Yeah.
But I know we can't do that. So I'm just like, I'm in a weird position to where I appreciate what he's doing. I want to I want to love it, but maybe just eliminate the walk-in. I don't know how you can do it, and I'm not going to sit here and act like I have all
Pop
these
up,
ideas.
add a trap door, cut some of the budget for lights, and then
Right.
add a trap door and just pop up in the middle,
Also,
like
real
power
quick,
line. Just
What's up?
shout out to Orange Grove 55 in the chat. Thank you.
Hi, thank you so
Yeah.
much.
He
Much
says,
love,
I just
Orange
found your
Grove.
channel, enjoying it. Keep up the great work. Thank
Hell
you.
yeah, dude. Welcome.
Thanks. Hopefully you hit that subscribe and come hang with us every Monday.
Oh,
Right.
They did already. I saw the
Yay! Thank you. That's exciting. How
I
fun.
know we're going a little bit over our time, but it's pay-per-view, so it's fine. But the
Chris, you
piped
act like
in
this doesn't happen every single show.
Okay,
The-
yeah. This
the
is my
piped in
biggest
clap.
complaint.
the piped in
bro.
applause. I thought it was
I
legit at
get-
first and it wasn't.
it was mixed in with legit. Here's the issue.
Yeah.
They clearly have restrictions, and you can tell what's fake versus what's real.
Sure.
And I get they're trying to mask that there's not a ton of people there due to restrictions. But here's the thing. Us as fans are understanding that there's probably restrictions due to COVID.
Right.
Don't do this. Don't do this.
It feels everything else is fine. I'd rather have the 3 people there clapping than piped in audience
Agreed.
sitcom shit, you know. But at the same time, again, like this was their first show. I don't know if they're going to change things going forward.
Right.
But the piped in things, I was not a fan.
You weren't
I
feeling.
kept pointing it out. That and Video Dolph, I kept pointing at my TV like, what the hell? But any final thoughts on the Wild Berries and Video Dolph of it all? No, not going into Smets Dandapani if we get there.
I'm going to say, like, I had the best time watching them. I think that the Wild Berry, I understand why people the Wild Bears are so beloved. They were just so fun. And I mean, big shout out to Video Dolph. That was what a great fucking run they had on there. And the Liam Neeson accents every single time. I have to bring it up.
God.
They made it a whole bit.
That was so
Tyler
funny.
Gone Girls, Tyler Perry.
That I'm not gonna lie. That one was one I actually got annoyed with quick.
I
Really?
loved it so much.
I thought it was funny.
That bit, I was like,
I like that they kept it going into the next question.
I loved it.
And that Andrew and Mark are like, and we're gonna keep this going. Like
Sean Wingblade in the chat, go back to your vacation, but also just
this is like he can be watching something. You can't. It's not like he's on the show, Allison.
Okay,
let
Matt,
Sean do what he's doing.
Calm down, Matt. You don't need to yell, okay?
Someone's got to yell. Suge's not here anymore.
All right. give me hot, and I'll start yelling about it. What's going on, Al in the chat? Put me in the audience. I'll cheer. Yeah, see, there you go. That's what I'm talking about.
Sean Wingblade, it's still real to me. Damn it.
Right. Yep. I mean, shit. That's me too, bro. But Jeremy Miller also in the chat. The crowd seemed fake at times. It felt obvious, but I got over it. Yeah, like I'll cry about it later. I just hope it doesn't become like something that will take me out of the broadcast once it airs or once it's airing, you know.
Maybe they'll get their volumes, their levels worked out.
Right.
If they have to use it.
I'll say this as the resident production nerd, that sound at times was questionable.
And Christian acknowledged it in I think the Q&A he did on Facebook over the weekend. So
talked about budgeting and all of that stuff. So I mean it is what it is. It's
They're
the first one out the gate. I'm
aware.
Intrigued to see what happens on Friday for sure.
Yeah. And that's a whole different thing in itself. And I don't even think we have that in the wheel.
We didn't put that on the wheel. I was shocked. I'm like, I was half tempted to take something off. Yeah.
We'll talk about it.
I will say it now just in case we land on it. That was my wild card since it wasn't on the wheel. So
sure. We'll get there.
So we can hope to land on it. Like let's hope we.
I love a production meeting. What would spin from the
God damn it. The spoilers too. So Wild Bears Video Dolph was a goodie. Great way to start the season.
It was great.
In our
great
opinion.
kickoff.
Also a great way to start our show. And we have a couple more wheel spins in us. And our wheel's way more fluid than the other wheel.
Yes.
Wow, we just are really talking pay-per-view tonight.
Holy shit. Okay.
And Christian's got a shit-eating grin behind Chris right now about the entire situation.
So, yes, let's talk about the second half of the pay-per-view. Kevin Smets and Chandru Dandapani. Yo, there's a lot encompassing this, and I kind of want to keep it towards the match and what Kevin and Chandru brought to this, whether it's like the opening promo and stuff, because there's a lot of storyline elements.
With the opening cutscene, I just want to say that was a very quick poo that Kaiser said he was doing. No one poos that fast.
No one.
I wouldn't say that's true.
When he found the dossier, you talking about that?
Yes. I don't think he washed his hands afterwards. Just saying.
I don't want to accuse Kaiser of being
Kaiser, did you wash your hands afterwards?
A hand wash skipper, but that's a hell of an accusation.
Have you met Kaiser?
In person, no. So I haven't gotten to smell his hands.
Chris, you have met him in person.
Have I?
We met him at Bernie at the Beanery. At
did you not go to
Oh
Denny's?
my God, he went to Denny's with us. Yeah,
I wasn't even at Denny's. Jesus Christ,
to Denny's with him, Chris.
I thought he didn't like me. I barely talked to him and thought he wasn't fucking with me, which I totally understand. Which I wasn't mad at him for it. But that's a conversation for a different day. Wow, I forgot that happened. Okay, Kevin Smets and Chandru Dandapani, the Inner Geekdom, the first Inner Geekdom match of the year. We're not gonna get too many of these, y'all. So we gotta be grateful for them as we go.
Yeah.
And this is a hell of a one to start with. Bunch of story building up to this. Mm-hmm. Shout out to I don't know who did the promo. I don't know if it's our boy Nerd Chronic or if it wasn't or if it is. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure a certain leader in a gold jacket is doing promos currently.
And whoever did it, I thought they knocked it out of the park with how they presented Smets and Dandapani.
You know what's wild? Again, I'm not a numbers person, but the fact that there were only 2 missed questions in this entire match Smets misses one in round 1, and then Chandru misses his 5-pointer.
Mhm.
Other than that, not a single question was missed.
I mean,
What's up,
Wild.
Luke?
it's very, very
Wild.
impressive.
Hi, Luke.
What's going on, Luke in the chat? I see you, Boom.
Very impressive. And again, this is where I'm talking about how great these question writers are, because you see the shifts in how the questions were done for that first match and then how they were for this one, because we knew these two were going to be coming in hot, right? Like Smets coming back off of a return, wanting to just kick some ass, and Chandru coming in off of getting kicked off of Swag and trying to prove that he is the best of the best in this IG league, and leaning hard into being the honestly the greatest heel of all time. I don't care what you say. That man has done so much to the point where people literally hate him and hate the sight of him, not just on the Schmodown, but like just in his everyday life. people
think
wild.
Chandru is his character, just like for the longest time they thought Bateman was his character.
Right. And it's wild because he's so good at it. But we have to acknowledge, like, you got to separate the person from the character at some point, right? Like it's just, it has to happen. I'm pretty sure Chandru is not going around making jokes about Kevin Smets' GoFundMe on a regular basis.
Oh, Chandru is a very nice guy. Can confirm.
I mean, yeah, we have confirmation in video form, don't we?
Yeah, I hung out with Chandru a decent amount. Yeah.
So, but he talk about someone who really takes this game so seriously and does it so well. His knowledge is insane. His character work is insane, and clearly he's done a lot of work in the off season to come back on this 3-round match and go all the way to the fight. I mean, what better 2 matches? We both had 2 matches that came down to their 5-point questions.
Right.
Like, you can't ask for more than that for something like this.
It's something where these two people who had a storied history with each other already, and it's on top of that, it's the highly anticipated rematch. And after the year that Chandru had in Inner Geekdom, you know, he I believe he had 1 win last season in Inner Geekdom, and he faced
like
some of the
4 matches,
right, and he faced off against some of the division's best, you know, because that's once you're a player like Chandru, you're only going to play folks of your caliber in those high profile matches. And going into this one, it was a lose-lose situation in my eyes for Chandru from the beginning. And I've talked about it on the show before. I've talked about it with y'all before. Like, he was the guy that had to play Kevin Smets first. And to Allison's credit,
makes sense, because that was what was being built up.
Yeah.
Right, of course. But to Allison's point, he's the biggest heel in the company, right? Yep. And if you're going to have anyone face Kevin, it has to be Chandru. And Chandru is the only one that who already has his natural heat on him, but he's the only one that can talk his shit with Kevin and it not really surprise us or catch us off guard, but still piss us off because he's the low down and dirty Chandru Dandapani.
And again, you talk about that lose-lose situation. Imagine if Chandru had won.
Exactly.
And the amount
it would have been a repeat of how people felt when Chandru.
They would have retaped the match.
No.
You think so?
It would not have retaped.
No, they wouldn't.
No. But it would
have been a repeat of how people felt when he beat Smets initially. And a lot of people were like, a lot of people felt heartbroken, like in the space, just because Smets became a quick fan favorite. I know someone hated that I referred to Smets as a tweener. He's a baby face.
Hey, no hard feelings.
Chris, are there cameras in those eyeballs? Is that how he knows what we're talking about?
Hold on, let me see. No, we're good.
No. Jeremy Miller actually brings up a great point. 2 big mistakes by Chandru for burning his repeats on that question. I was shocked because I'm like, it's Snape. First time I'm like, it's Snape, right? That's Snape.
And he knew it. He was
use a repeat.
I felt like he was.
If he had only burned 1, I think he would have known it. It was the fact that he burnt 2 that I was like, oh snap, he really might be struggling on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Chandru, in Inner Geekdom matches like this, and Leo Logan points out that Chandru's 5-pointer was rough. You could even hear him say, "Fuck me, I wasted that challenge." Just as the answer was, there was a couple.
Well, because what happened
where
there?
It slipped through in this pay-per-view.
Yeah, but what happens there? The reason why he said that was because he didn't hear, because the category was swashbuckling and pulp films, and when he got the answer wrong, Smets said Flash Gordon, because 2 out of those 3 actors apparently are in Flash Gordon. That's what he thought it was. So that's what Chandru heard and thought was the answer, not Raiders of the Lost Ark. I think it was. It was an Indiana Jones movie, but he just hears someone say Flash Gordon, and that's why he was like, fuck me, I shouldn't have wasted that challenge, because technically Flash Gordon isn't swashbuckling or pulp. So it
correct,
but it ended up not being.
It falls into the pulp category since it is a cult classic.
But it wasn't the answer. That's the point. It ended up being one of the Indiana Jones movies. But that's where that came from, apparently.
Yeah, and Alan points out that it was Raiders, yes. And shout out to Cheddar Goblin in the chat. I recognize that face anywhere.
Oh my god!
What's going on, Boo?
It's a Cheddar Goblin sighting. Oh my god!
It's a Cheddar Goblin. We haven't seen that in a minute. And Jeremy Miller, the challenge made me laugh though. Do we need the pronouns for dinosaurs now?
Here's the thing,
we gotta talk about that challenge. That was a Jeff Snyder level of petty challenge. I feel
like that was on a Bateman level challenge, like when he challenged Perry Nemiroff on the Muppets versus Muppets Treasure Island.
But here's the thing: Bateman is a step below Snyder in terms of pettiness of challenge. Snyder is the king of petty challenges, and that was on a Snyder level.
But if it got into his head, then it would have worked, right? Like, let's say he's now off for the rest of the game. Did they do that? I think it's really easy to Monday morning quarterback whether or not to have burned a challenge or not. But I think just from what I've watched, from what I've learned with people, if you have an opportunity to stop momentum, like when you can stop someone's momentum when they're on a roll, I think that's especially in a round 2 where like being on a roll is an important thing, right? Like you want to get in the pocket, you want to keep going. We saw what happened at Spectacular with Parker with that first question, that the Black Widow question, and how it just threw it almost completely ruined his entire round 2, right? So if you have an opportunity to get in someone's head, why wouldn't you use it? Especially in a situation like that where Smets has already gotten a question wrong that he should have known the answer to, and he's gone on record on at least on Shmo Me the Real that he knew it, he didn't trust his gut, erased it, answered something else. Right? So
exactly.
If there's an opportunity to challenge something like that, I think they did the right thing in doing it.
It's a strat. It's especially at this point in the game with these vets who've been around for a minute. You're playing 4D chess out here with movie trivia questions, and what Allison said, I totally agree. You're trying to mess with somebody and just get them off their game ever so slightly, whether it's for a second, just to get them out of that thought process, whatever thought process is in their brain, and make them think about however they feel about your challenge. And Amaru said he thought it was a good challenge. Jeremy Miller said it was a tactical challenge. Like that's the type of schmodown that we're now participating in. Like,
that's the gameplay side of it.
Exactly.
Right. It's like you're in the 4th quarter and the team is about to kick a field goal to win the game, and the other team has 2 timeouts left. You freeze them and you use those timeouts so that they get out of the zone. Right. You use a challenge like this where it could potentially work.
That's just timeout in general.
But that's
still
like Chris's Chicago Bears knows about that a lot.
They sure do.
I have no comment. But the thing with the challenge though, right, is like and again, to go back to what we were saying with Video Dolphin Wild Berries, like I know some folks are gonna miss a lot of the sporty aspects of this, but this is one of the many things that will still stick around through the changes, is like the actual gameplay itself. Say what you want about the difficulty of the questions, say what you want how the questions and things are presented. The strat is still the same. The studying is still the same. And this solely was strat. I totally agree with Jeremy Miller in the chat saying it was tactical. 1,000,000%. And of course, going down to Schmoedown Classic, went down to the 5, and the 5 is the most important question in the game itself. If you miss your 5, odds are, if you're in a position where your opponent also has hit their 5, you are losing if you miss your 5. Like,
Right.
the odds are not as in your favor if you miss your 5.
Correct.
And Chandru, down to the wire, got all of his questions right, got every possible point he could in a 3-round match, but he missed his 5. And here we are talking about Kevin Smets, his return match, getting that W. But it's all down to the last question. But I'm very happy with the result, and I know they've talked about this many a time with the amount of Inner Geekdom and Star Wars matches we're going to get this year, especially Star Wars. But matches like these, especially when built on the stories that are created from this, from Donapani and from Smets, it'll allow for, like, folks were super invested, as folks will be invested in Chandru's and Smets' matches going forward for different reasons, but folks are still be invested. And having the two of them start the season in the main event of this pay-per-view just made sense on so many levels. And plus, the match is very good. Was it one of the best Inner Geekdom matches ever? No. But it
was a great way to start off the season.
Exactly.
100%.
From what we've seen, we're spoiled. Like, it's going to be very hard. Like, we saw arguably the best teams match last year in the Otter couple and Shazam. Like, they damn near maxed out as many points as you can. Star Wars, same thing. Like, we've seen great matches across the divisions, but the standard set's so high, and we have to keep that in mind going forward, that not every match is going to be 51-50. Not every match is going to be...
Well, not anymore, because they changed.
They had to change the whole layout of everything. But it's like matches like these where the characters are great and Chandru shit talking throughout the match, and the digs that he had, and obviously with the representation that he had, which
and the lead up. I don't know if you guys watched the rundown and the interview that they did, and just the back.
I don't want to talk about that interview. I do not want to talk about that interview. That is an interview that'll get me angry and in trouble. We are not talking about that.
Did you hear that?
Because they ripped off a certain show that's on screen right now. Just saying.
Did they? I admittedly didn't see it.
Oh, you didn't see the "Don't talk about my family, don't bring my family into this"? Chris, why does that sound familiar?
Oh, we're ripping story beats. Oh, shout out to Rick Radis and Frankie Alvarez. A lot of I know.
I said, you want to get me in trouble? We could talk about that, but I'm not trying to get in trouble. Because I'm ready to throw blows over that.
I feel like that big head Christian is smirking a little bit harder right now. I feel like I saw his mouth move a little bit. I think he's watching us from there. Oh my God. Speaking of watching us, can I just say real quick? I don't know if I'm allowed to tell this, but I'm going to anyway. We got the cutest
you can tell that.
Buck, Buck, Jeff, and I got the nicest little DM from Mark Ellis from like Saturday, like for me East Coast time. It was very early Sunday morning.
Made me upset. I wasn't.
But it was Molly. He came home from his comedy show, and Molly was watching Schmo Me the Real.
I mean, hell of a questionable watch choice, but
not at all. Molly has fantastic taste, but he sent us a message.
I think he's talking about because of the content that is involved in that show.
But thank you. So if you are watching this one by chance, Mr. Ellis, thank you so much. It was very, very kind of you, and really made my. I then pushed my luck and said, I will take any and all Molly content whenever you see fit, sir. Please and thank you.
If there's one thing about Allison Salamoni that everyone should know, is that she will shoot her shot regardless of the repercussion.
What's the worst you're going to tell me? No? Cool. I'll just move on. My feelings
now Mark's not gonna. He's gonna watch the show, not tell you. Like that's the thing.
Chris, you see the latest Twitch comment?
Yeah, I see. Yeah, again, shout out to.
I can't. What does it say?
Shout out to our Twitch. If for those who, it's that Jess says hi and that she loves you and that you're her best friends. I just saw Jess not too long ago. We watched the season finale of Euphoria together.
I love Jess.
Jess is great, and
she's the best. What's the other Twitch? I feel like there's another Twitch comment because I can see Matt's face and he has the worst poker face, and you're not.
Matt has the
me.
literal worst poker face I've ever seen.
I
Is someone
don't.
talking shit?
I'm just trying to cool down. No, it's Taylor again.
Shit.
It's not talking shit.
In a way. I mean, shit, you were talking shit not too long ago.
I can't see the Twitch comments because I don't know.
Cheddar Goblin in the chat, which we cannot confirm is Taylor Cleek, says it sounds like a good bit. Yeah. Which
in regards to me going on.
I totally understand. You know, sounds like a good bit.
Which you cannot confirm is the Rager Rick Radis.
No, we can't confirm it is not.
Yeah. I've met Rick and I've met Taylor two different people. Yeah, I mean, if I want to talk to Rick, I've always had to email somebody, whether it was Taylor or I had to email somebody else.
Christian.
Yeah.
Now the PR firm.
Yeah, so I'm not too keen.
No shade.
I don't have a direct line to Rick.
No one does.
To Taylor, I can just call him right now.
Taylor's great.
You know,
Taylor's a fantastic person.
You
know who's better? Jess. Love you, Jess.
Damn, I'm not about to. Don't make me pick between mom and dad like that. I'm not gonna do that. That's a different wheel size for a different day. But going back to the match back on target. The main event was rad. It was a lot of fun to see this, and the pay-per-view. Shout out a couple things. Jen Sturger, she was doing the post games. Yes. I love seeing Jen because she's one of those staples of the Schmodown where I know some other folks have done post game interviews, and that's rad. But I think Jen Sturger's the go-to in regards to that.
Not me crying in Kevin Smith's post-match interview. Not at all. Not a single goddamn tear.
Not me. No, and I feel like every time Kevin Smith talks, it's tear-inducing because of the weight his words carry. You know. And I've also pointed out that Kaiser and Smets are fantastic together. I know Allison got to talk to them on Showing the Real this past Saturday. But I think someone pointed out in the Facebook chat or Facebook group, I forget who it was, but they posted like the first picture they had together when they were on screen for the first time in the Schmodown and the most recent one, and the journey they've gone on, the two of them as manager and competitor. I would put theirs. I would rival it against any other manager competitor
100%.
duo, regardless of division, regardless of era, even digital. I thought they crushed it with the little things that they got to do. In between Smets' return and a long time ago when Smets was playing Inner Geekdom and then his return last December.
Yeah.
But any final thoughts on the main event before we get that we'll spin another go?
I think we crushed it.
Sure.
I think we smashed it.
We smashed it, baby. We smashed it. So we have our wild cards still up on the board. We have a bunch of factions, some storyline stuff that we could possibly get into. I know we had a Schmominati sighting. Did we get to talk about that?
We got a Schmominati reveal.
Chris is literally like, please, for the love of God, land on storylines.
We get to, I'll happily talk about story. I'll talk about whatever. I'm very happy with
this a respin.
We're respinning it. I would love to talk about Wildberries again. They're one of my favorite teams.
They were so goddamn fun. I love it. We're here to sell shirts.
We're here to sell shirts. Yes. And
let's talk about Friday Night Titans.
Let's talk about Friday Night Titans. So for those who don't know, or for those who are confused, because there's a lot of confusion in regards to Friday Night Titans, that'll be the main Schmodown show every single week. What's going on, Jake? I see you in the chat.
Hi,
no
Jake.
more Tuesday uploads. No more Thursday uploads. Fridays.
No more Wednesday uploads.
No more Wednesdays, right? Fridays. That is the day for Schmodown every single week. It's a full package of a show from a wrestling
2 hours
fans.
long.
Time out. We do have to amend what you said a little bit because there are Tuesday and Thursday uploads.
There are, yes. But the way that this is going to work.
No one should have watched that. They should have watched Titans as a package.
Right.
Because that's how it's going to be presented.
Yeah. So what's going to happen is, from my understanding, Friday nights for 2 hours starting at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, it will premiere and it will start. It'll be 2 hours in length. You will get, you'll get your matches in there along with your storylines. So, and your cutscenes. no one at any point in time, anyone can come in and challenge. So we kind of saw that during the pay-per-view where JTE called out Brendan Meyer. Can I just say I love Brendan Meyer's passive aggressive shit with JTE? Like, oh, do you want to hold the belt? It's changed a little bit since you held it, but do you want to hold it now and see it? I loved it. It's like he knows what he's doing. Like it's that whole like nice guy shtick, but like
yes,
you're being a dick, and I love it, and I'm here for it. I am.
Chris has long wanted the kid to take a heel turn, so Chris is definitely.
I love it.
It'd be cool.
But so we got a little taste. So now we know that that's going to be the main event for this Friday. It's starting this Friday, the 4th. And it'll be up, I want to say throughout the weekend before it comes down. And then starting on Tuesday, you'll get.
I thought it stays up if people want to watch it as a full block.
Stays, yeah. But they cut it up.
The idea is throughout the weekdays you'll get the singular matches.
The matches. So you can just go and watch. Yeah. So you can either just go watch the cutscenes or you can go and just watch the trivia matches. So but you have to wait. Now for patrons, you
can either watch Monday Night Raw or catch the clips on Sunday Night Heat. Yes. No one should be watching the clips. Like, I get it if you don't like certain things, but like for all of us who are here for the same thing, the ultimate presentation is Friday Night Titans.
Yes.
And yes, there will be uploads. They're going to cut everything up and disperse it throughout the following week. And before the comment came up, Allison was going to say, I'm assuming how patrons will get the first hour first.
Yes, they'll get the first half. Mm-hmm. Supposedly at some point early in the week, there wasn't an exact drop date. So we don't know when that's going to start. Christian said there was more info on that to come, but that's going to be one of the patron perks. So rather than the early match, you're getting the first half of Friday Night Titans. Now, the one thing that it is we're not always going to know who's playing, right? Sometimes we might have a player come out and issue a challenge just like JTE did, and we'll have something to go off of into the next week. But that's not always going to be the case either. So it's going to be a lot more suspense and wanting to tune in so you can see who's going to be playing who and where they're going, because there's only going to be so many I think there's only going to be 2 matches in. I don't know. I'm not sure.
The 2-hour time length, 2 matches.
It sounds like 2 matches.
Probably 2 matches. Unless say they put 2 TKOs or KO matches in there.
Right.
That might
That'd be different.
A match on occasion.
Right.
Hold up, we got an update. Thank you, Sean Wingblade. Thad updated the SD Discord. The first half will drop on Thursdays to patrons.
Okay, makes sense. Thursday. Makes sense. So that's where that goes. And then, like you said, throughout the week, they'll be dropping just the cut up, just trivia matches, just cutscenes. So we started kind of seeing that today already. With they dropped the cutscene of the Shmominati reveal from the pay-per-view. So now we all know that the Shmominati is Sam Levine. And he's coming back in to play.
We called it.
Dropped his suspects like hotcakes to go back and play. And he's already got a #1 contender spot. So
I don't want to brag, but we totally called that shit.
We did. Right here. You heard it first. From the real.
Sam coming back was the worst kept secret in the entire, like, I was surprised. Like, I was going through the Reddit this past weekend, and a lot of folks were like, I didn't think Sam was coming back. And I was like, really? Like, I thought that was,
to be fair, he was very convincing in that video.
And I didn't buy it for a second. Like, because I watched the video.
Because you're Chris, you're a mark, so you know not to buy that.
Damn
shit.
Right.
But a lot of people in here.
And I, of course, like my pro wrestling brain tries to think 3 steps ahead. So
But did your pro wrestling brain think he was the Shmominati?
No, and I was disappointed by that. But we're not talking about that. But we're talking about Friday Night Titans. Friday Night Titans was like, you see, I live by a hospital, so you hear the ambulance go by. That was my reaction to Sam Levine being the Shmominati. Like, But I digress. Going to Friday Night Titans, I like the presentation of this. It's awfully pro wrestling, and that's the downer for a lot of folks. The ring announcer idea is awfully pro wrestling. The video doll thing, that was ripped from Alexa Bliss on Monday Night Raw. Like, there's a lot of wrestling influence in the Schmodown since the beginning, but now more than ever, solely because of the Friday Night Titans. Now, do I like
Also,
the
Chris,
name?
I don't mean to cut you off, but we actually have something that's never happened before. Galaxy Geeks Luke has something he's disappointed in.
Oh God. Oh, the thumbnails. I did see the thumbnails. Not a fan of the characters on top.
Love you, Luke.
But Luke, I'm right there with you. I don't love the thumbnails either. I thought the old ones are cool, but they're trying to make this more broad to more a wider audience. So I get it. You know, that's a happy medium that we have to get.
What thumbnails is he talking about?
I saw some thumbnails of I don't know if it's for like previews and stuff, or like they uploaded, they have the video like ready to premiere. I saw them on my YouTube not too long ago. But the Friday Night Titans. Do y'all like the name Titans?
I mean, it's fine. I don't know.
Because
I'm sorry,
Go
Chris.
ahead.
When I hear Titans, I think of Nightwing, Starfire,
right.
Beast Boy.
A lot of folks went to speaking of Sam Levine, they went to Remember the Titans, like a classic Schmodown moment.
Yeah.
Where Remember the Titans was the hardest movie to answer
Schmodown
questions
moments,
from.
bro.
Yes.
Schmodown moments.
Like there's like that movie is infamous in MTS history, but
like Giancarlo Stanton.
Oh God, that's a that only happened once. Remember the Titans happened a couple times, and Sam Levine was at the brunt of that a few times too. But with Friday Night Titans, again, my pro wrestling brain, I attribute it to Monday Night Raw, Friday Night SmackDown, and or I know Jeremy mentioned it a little bit earlier, AEW, Dynamite, or Rampage, or like things like that. I think just the Titans, the plural thing, just rubbed me the wrong way. But again, it's my pro wrestling brain. I don't really mind the name. I wish it was something different. Yeah, you see the thummy? Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the thummy. It's
that's
gonna take
a
some getting
choice.
used to. Right.
That's a choice.
Right. And I don't want to sit here and like it's so easy. We saw a lot of people poo-pooing everything. It's a wait and see. Maybe they'll change things up over the course of time, or if things remain the same. I don't hate anything they did over the weekend.
Here, forget putting the characters up there. Just put the competitors up there. You put 4 characters
like
up there.
How it used to be, man.
Yeah.
And if they have a logo, put the logo on where the competitors are currently on it. It's that simple.
Yeah.
But keep the characters on it. Like I know some folks viewed it as spoilers for questions or for answers, but I just thought, I'm like, that's a little weird. Like I didn't. It was weird seeing John McClane with Joshua Kuga on the same thumbnail.
Yeah.
And of course, Sean Wingblade asked me, "Where's the thummy? Is it on YouTube?"
Where's the thummy? Yeah, I saw it on the YouTubes. But having
on the YouTubes,
I'm about to put my phone down.
The complete presentation of one show, which is cool. It's because we used to have the Tuesday, Thursday uploads, which would contain cutscenes and things and all that fun stuff. But now it's just all condensed into one video, for at least initially.
Which, Chris, let's be honest. About 4 or 5 years ago, Schmodown that was kind of what Friday night episodes would be at times. It just didn't have this name because occasionally we'd get a 2-hour. It seemed like almost every other week we get a 2-hour episode with 2 matches, with an undercard and a main event.
Right. And now it's being presented as a whole show. And Allison,
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, I thought you froze for a second. I'm like, but it's being presented as like instead of them just saying, "Oh, welcome back to the Movie Trivia Schmodown," it's gonna be, "This is Friday Night Titans, bitch," and it's gonna be like this whole thing.
I hope that's the intro right there.
Hey, yo, they let Chandru say the F word.
Real quick, there is a reason I'm bringing this up. Just reminded everyone, buy as many Schmodown t-shirts as you can afford. We can get a season 10. I suggest 5 to 6 shirts. Remember, there are shirts that I think it's midnight Pacific time that are leaving the store
forever.
Yeah, forever. We
yeah. I
For,
saw like the
Burp.
classic Shimo's No, the Finstock Exchange TKO sure was a part of those.
Yeah, that one I'm mad I don't have the money for it because I wanted that so bad.
Yeah, I had to. I'm telling you, I was a undercover Rager stan. I had to support Rick Radis, but Alan, that does mean everyone should buy 5 Wildberry shirts. Just
Yes.
saying.
You
Because
buy one
Christian
for
still owes
yourself,
them
you buy
money.
one for your mama, you buy one for your daddy, you buy one for
Yeah.
your kids, you buy one for your
Yeah.
wife, you buy as many Wildberries shirts as you
All
can.
the Wildberry
because
shirts.
All the Wildberry shirts because they got a warehouse full of
Wild.
those.
Yeah, well,
Berries.
that God, they're so good. But I'm curious to see how Friday goes, and I'm even more curious to see the reaction because
Yeah.
I know a lot of folks were they're very hesitant on things. It depends on where you go, honestly. Facebook was very pro pay-per-view. I guess the Reddit's now back to being infamous, but something I really appreciate about the Reddit is that
It's
folks are
not
more
that bad.
Well, no, and this is someone who's very active in that
Yeah.
page, and I love the conversation on there. They're more critical, and I'm appreciative of that. And that's where that's where I go to see the real, genuine reaction to things.
Yeah.
You're gonna get your honest responses, and I think that's fine.
Exactly.
I think that majority of the criticisms are very valid. There's a few people that I feel like, or a few critics that are complaining just to complain. You know, it's the fun,
Right.
cool thing to poo-poo on it. I think putting so much stock in like complaining about the set or complaining about the questions or like stuff like that is like, okay, fine.
I love the set. Yeah.
But like actual legitimate concerns and where it's going, I can get. I can understand. And I like that there's honest conversation going on with it because sometimes that's what you need. You need to have an honest conversation to make things even better. I'm intrigued to see where Friday Night Titans goes. I'm intrigued to have this be my first season that I'm watching all the way through for Schmodown and actually getting the 80-20 entertainment versus sports. So, I mean, I'm coming into it with a really big open mind and ready to kind of see where it takes us. You know, they've already announced the next pay-per-view.
Right.
So we have that. So yeah, I'm excited to see what happens next.
It can get very, and this is everywhere. Like I know the Reddit gets picked on a lot because of what it used to be. But I think as season 8 progressed, it became this it became a sub community within this big MTS space. And like I said, they're more critical, but like what Allison said, it's valid criticism. At least from a lot from what I've seen, it's valid criticism. And I am going to just keep rocking with that because the Facebook group, overwhelmingly positive as it should be, but there's not that much room for the valid criticism because we as a community, I think something we need to stop doing in season 9 is dogpiling on folks and listen when folks have an opinion. Like it's okay to disagree,
unless they're purposely attacking a player just to attack a player,
which we've seen a plethora of times before, and as times progressed, I'd like to think we've gotten better at that, but especially within the group or the various groups and communities. But we need to just not immediately shit on somebody for the sake of doing it because their opinion differs from yours. And I, again, like what Allison was saying, like there are a lot of folks who just like, I don't like the colors, the shit sucks. There is that. And that's, you know what, if folks don't like the color scheme, trust me, it took me a second to get my eyes readjusted. I put these glasses on with the fucking blue in them, the blue light in them. Like I don't blame you for that. But I'm like, you know what? Like this is the first show, the first big production they put on this year. So let me take it as is. Yeah, the walk-ins for the match winners is something I have to get used to. The piped in claps is something I have to get used to. But it's all right to have healthy conversations about those or without having to be like, oh, Chris doesn't like Christian walking. What the fuck? Like that's something that we need to
100%. It's not I'm hating on it. It's just it felt when the way that it happened took me out of the moment of the match. You know what I mean? Like I was invested. I was right there. It was fun. And then walking in with your back turned towards the camera, taking your big step into center as you're, doing your announcer voice of, and you're a winner, was very just kind of, it was jarring a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you're not expecting it.
And
then you're
new.
just kind of like,
it's new to us.
Right. Will I get used to it? I'm sure I will. It was just the one thing I noticed. And if that's the only issue that I have, I think you put out a pretty good fucking product.
Right.
You know?
And the reaction from the pay-per-view, especially amongst us, like the Show Me the Real folks, when we were talking about it, was pretty damn positive. Like we had a lot of good things to say about it.
Yeah.
And a lot of the criticisms, if we had any, were the ones that we vocalized here. Apparently the thumbnails is something we can add to that list going forward. But
I'm just really proud of Luke for having something that he was like, did you guys see this question mark? I love you, Luke. You're so great.
Yeah. No, and I'm saying like if Luke's shitty about something, like like
I wasn't gonna go there because I can hear Luke saying it in the nicest voice possible.
No,
right.
And
but when something's bugging Luke, here's the thing: even when Luke is in a bad mood, he's nice, and that's why I love Luke.
That's how you know you messed up. Is like if
Luke's willing to criticize it.
Exactly. But just because Luke doesn't like the thumbnails doesn't mean let's dogpile on him or Galaxy Geeks as a group for not liking the thumbnails. Like that's just one tiny aspect of this big ass machine that is working. And now going into this upcoming Friday, March 4th, we're going to be getting our first weekly show. The Schmodown isn't, at least sans re-uploads of the bits of the segments. The Schmodown isn't going to be Thursday or Thursday match, completely separate entities. It's going to be one big thing that folks can watch later in pieces.
Yes.
And will that clog up the Schmodown video log? Yes. But I think it'll allow for folks to skip cutscenes if they don't like them. If
you're just wanting to watch the trivia, you can just watch the trivia.
Or vice versa. If folks want to watch the character stuff. Like there's a lot of good character stuff at the pay-per-view this past.
I guarantee you, this man right here to my right is gonna go back and dissect those cutscenes at times.
Yo, I very much enjoyed them. Like
I thought they were Chris, my point is, considering when we started this, I was a sports guy, you were the storyline guy, and then we ended up eventually meeting somewhere down the middle.
Right.
My point is, I could see you going into the cutscenes and then just being like, going in the group chat, yo, so pay attention to this, look at this could be setting up this. That's what I'm talking about.
I'm telling you, I'm out here booking the stuff myself. Allison last week was pitching Christian to be a writer. Like I've been doing this shit since Spin from the Real started 70 some episodes ago. Like I love the cutscenes.
Episodes ago.
76.
Remember, you put the number up there, Chris.
I did. I see it. 77. I see it. But I think the cutscenes. That's why the outlaw is the outlaw. That's why John Roca's character is so big and why he was sent off the way he was, because of the character aspect of things. That's why Ben Bateman and where he decides to play and who decides to play for in the Schmodown is such a big deal, because of what him and Andrew Guy did when Team Action first burst out on the scene. And that can be said for literally 90% of the league, where their characters, what made them and what is why we know who they are. And the characters may have gone away for a couple of years, but the storylines are just as crucial to the trivia, if not more important, depending on who you ask. But Friday Night Titans is going to be an experiment. I'm interested in how this Friday goes. And next week, we'll definitely have some wheel slices on it. How many? We have no idea. We'll have to watch the show first. But here, Cheddar Goblin in the chat mentions that everything will have direction and purpose this season, and that is something to be very excited about. Yes, totally.
Absolutely.
Here we go. We got some other comments. Galaxy Geeks Luke, being constructive is always important for this growth. Yes, for this to grow. Totally. And Jeremy Miller, constructive criticism is very important this season from fans, because Christian has mentioned it's a make or break season this year in Facebook Q&As. And I know a lot of what Christian says in Facebook Q&As, it can scare a lot of folks. If you're a patron, great. Watch the videos, like them, comment on them. It helps out this little algorithm here on this little YouTube thing. And trust me, we're this super small community that wants us to grow, but changes had to be made for it to grow. And that's why we're in the position that we are now, whether we like them or not. Like the thumbnails look a certain way because that's what appeals to other folks, you know? So it's going to be interesting, but we're 2 days in, and I think so far we're doing well. Granted, we'll see how the fans react this Friday and going forward with pay-per-views and such, and the lack of Star Wars matches, which I will never forget about. But because and this is, I know before we wrap, I want to mention this. I was going through the Christian Q&A things. I was very curious to see what he said and what questions people were asking. And one of them was about Star Wars, I believe, or he mentioned Star Wars in one of his answers. And he was like, hey, like some of y'all were the ones asking me to disband the Star Wars division. And I'm like, I know he has no idea how I felt about Star Wars 2 years ago, but this was an attack at me. And I want to clarify. I wanted to like comment and be like, I know you don't know me, but because I was one of those, admittedly, a couple years ago, I was like, yo.
Chris, let's be honest. At this point, you've had an after show for 77 episodes. He knows you by now.
Yeah, and I hope so. But I'm thinking to myself, like, yes, I was that guy that was like, Star Wars does not need to be a division. Like I was that dude. And now after being spoiled for a couple years of great Star Wars matches and the personalities and the personalities that were brought into the league because of Star Wars, I am eternally grateful. And my foot's been in my mouth for approximately 2 years. So ever since that first Twitch Star Wars tournament that Spin for the Real launched on, I've had my foot in my mouth. So 77 episodes later,
we launched before the tournament, though. We launched like right before the tournament.
We found our footing during that tournament.
Yes, that is fair. I'll give you that one.
Yeah, because the first show was just crusty ass Chris and crusty ass Matt talking about movie trivia,
talking about what can happen because of COVID.
Right, like that. That's all it was.
And look how far you guys have come.
Boom.
And you added such a wonderful third host.
And we added 4.5 more forehead to our show.
100%.
But
would not be complete without my 4.5 star forehead.
No, you said 4 3/4 head. That's what you said.
My 4 3/4.
By the way, I do want to make
yes
a little quick announcement because this is somewhat Schmodown related. So for those who used to watch the stuff on this channel, we had our own little family going for a while, and it disbanded for a couple reasons involving people on this channel. And we did have 2 episodes in the can of our second season of it, one involving this beautiful man to my right, and those will be releasing at the end of next week, both of them.
Oh. Can you tell me who I played? I forgot.
Jonathan Caro.
Oh my god! Yeah, right. I remember that. Yeah. Wow.
But no, they've just been sitting on my computer, and I'm like, should I release these? So as just something fun, I'm gonna label them as Spin from the Real exclusives. They're being edited in a way that's Spin from the Real-esque, and yeah, we're. Just if you want to see Chris answer trivia because he refuses to do so while he's on the camera.
I love it.
But that's news to me. Yeah, so those will be up on the channel. Subscribe to Wild Real Entertainment. Like the video. Leave a comment on this after the fact.
Follow us on Twitter.
Damn right. Our links are in the description of this podcast. We want Mr. Happy Sunday. I want Mr. Happy Sunday every day of the week. That second one is crazy.
That's not.
Not gonna bring that up, Cheddar Goblin. But any final thoughts on the pay-per-view? We talked about a pay-per-view this week, and I'm very happy we did.
Me too.
I was gonna force it regardless. We were gonna talk about the damn pay-per-view this week, whether we liked it or not. But any final thoughts on the pay-per-view on Friday Night Titans?
I'm ready to go. I'm excited. I'm ready for season 9.
this show is you know, our little wheel spins. The one thing I'm very proud of is that our wheel seemed more effective and spun smoother than the studio wheel. But
Yes.
again, the wheel's new. Gotta oil it up, put some WD-40 on the wheel. It'll be perfectly fine. But our wheel, we spun 3 goodies this week. And like we said, make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on social medias we have in the description of the video. Matt, where can the folks find you besides Twitter? That's in the description.
Here, always here. Go watch my Batman review. That is one of them. Honestly, that's a review I put the most work in to in regards to any of my reviews.
And it's a non-spoiler one, right?
Yeah, it is non-spoiler.
I can't.
You can ask Chris. I've always made it known my reviews are all 100% non-spoiler, and unless it's something like a West Side Story to where it's a remake, reimagining. So I'm gonna end up making comparisons. So, but yeah. Never spoiler reviews. Never spoiler reviews.
But I can confirm the review that Matt put up on the Batman. Those spoilies, it's a little longer than the typical real review, but Matt gave a lot of thought on his stuff without getting too much into detail. I did get to check it out, and you can tell the work that Matt put into it. So go ahead and check out the review of the Batman that's already on the channel. Allison, where can the folks find you on the social medias besides Twitter? That's in the description.
You can find me here every Monday, except for next Monday because I'll be traveling. But typically, you can find me here on Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. You can also find me doing stuff every now and then over with the guys on Flick and Reel, good old Jesse Swift, Sean Wingblade, and Pastor Scott Fox. And you can find me with my podcast, Behavior Geekology. We had some issues trying to record this one and get it edited, so it's not going to be out tomorrow like it's supposed to be, but we will be working on getting it this week as best we can. My bad, people. I apologize, but it's my podcast where we take my career as a behavior analyst and principles of applied behavior analysis and break them down for you using films and franchises that I love and you love, and it is so much fun.
Except her love of Lord of the Rings, because she doesn't love Lord of the Rings.
So get out of here. So, Chris, where can people find you?
My Twitter is in the description. I share everything I do there. You can check out my podcast, For Chris's Sake, FORCHRIS 'SAKE. The last Euphoria update for the time being is going up on the podcast feed, I believe late tomorrow night or Wednesday morning. I just got to watch Euphoria today, the season finale, and it's absolutely insane, and I hated it and I loved it. So my thoughts on that will be on the podcast feed later. Just type in For Chris's Sake wherever you listen to your podcasts. And you can follow Christian on Twitter at Christian Harloff, and subscribe to Watt. Subscribe to this channel and follow us in the social medias we have in the description of this podcast or of this video. So for Allison Salamone and for Matt Thomas, my name, and for Christian Harloff, my name is Chris Anthony Lopez. And don't forget, y'all, spin from the reel, not the pegs. I almost said the W word. Spin from the reel, not the pegs. See you guys next time. Have a good one. Peace.
Bye, friends.
Bye.